Hello, welcome to all of our Year 2 families at Glastonbury Thorn School. We held our Key Stage 1 SATs parents' meetings this week. I know as a working parent that it's very difficult to attend these meetings sometimes. A big thank you to all of those parents that did. It was really useful. But for those parents that couldn't make it, this is a presentation for you to watch at your leisure, so you have all the information that all of the other families have. If you did attend, by all means, watch it again, because I know there's lots of useful information in here. So starting with the quote that's right next to me, I can't do it yet. That is what our whole ethos is about. And the Key Stage 1 SATs, which is a standard assessment test, just gives it a little snapshot of where your child is at the moment. But the thing to really take on board and remember from the SATs is that it's just a jigsaw piece of your child's attainment. All of your children's attainment is going to be assessed through teacher assessments. With the teacher assessments, teacher judgments in English reading, English writing, mathematics and science are reported at the end of Key Stage 1. So teacher assessments are based on basically the everyday work that your child does. We have whales at Glastonbury Thorn School. A whale is what am I learning? So every day, whether it's English, math, science, art, whatever the subject, there'll be a whale. What am I learning? I am learning to use a pencil correctly in very basic form. I am learning to use adverbial phrases, grouped adjectives, more advanced. So your child will be working against these whales and on an everyday basis being assessed against them. That is the teacher assessment. That's the data that is used at the end of Key Stage 1. For the pupils that have completed the Key Stage 1 program of study, which is your child, there are 3 standards that we look at. And it's working towards the expected standard, working at the expected standard, and working at a greater depth within the expected standard. So breaking those down really quickly, and you'll learn more about these at Parents' Evening just after Easter, but working towards the expected standard just means that your child, remember about those whales I talked about, what am I learning? They're being supported with those, they're given some scaffold behind them, and they can achieve them with that support. If we took that support away completely, they may struggle to meet that everyday expectations. That's a working towards the expected. Working at the expected standard, because the whales are set at expected, means that your child, with some help, will then meet the whale and work against that criteria and sometimes take their learning further as well. Working at the greater depth standard really means that your child meets that expected standard, but is able to dig a little deeper. We call it digging deeper at GTS. It means that they can go a bit beyond the learning and a lot of independence shown. So for example, in a lesson, like science, even though we don't really report greater depth in science, but an idea of a greater depth learner would be if we're learning about plants, they would immediately talk about germination and photosynthesis and nutrients from the soil and the life cycle, even though we may not have learnt that yet. They might take that learning on themselves and show a real interest and fascination within the subject. So with the greater depth, we're continually pushing the children in all areas of the curriculum to have the opportunities to meet that standard. The pupils who are not yet working towards the expected standard, they're assessed against pre-key stage standards, and you will find out that at the Parents' Evening just after Easter. So it's small steps towards the working towards expected, and then hopefully towards the greater depth. As I said just a minute ago, science, unfortunately, is not marked the same way. So at the end of Year 2, your child will either be at the expected standard or have not met the expected standard. There's no greater depth, even though we will record those children that are working at a greater depth for when they go to their next part of their education in the next school. A little bit of history behind the SATs. So the curriculum was new 2014 nationally. Years 2 and 6 joined that new curriculum 2015-16, and then in the summer of 2016, the SATs reflected the new curriculum. So whatever we're teaching the children in reading, writing and maths is what will be in the SATs paper. There'll be nothing new and out of the blue. The SATs assessment, so at the end of Year 2, children will take assessments in reading, maths, grammar, punctuation and spelling. The grammar, punctuation and spelling is what you may hear as SPAG. It's not spaghetti, it's SPAG. So it's spelling, punctuation and grammar. Your children are practicing this all the time, and it is part of their everyday lessons. The tests are marked internally. That's another really good thing about Key Stage 1. Unlike Year 6, where test papers are sent away and marked by a stranger, these tests are marked by your child's class teacher. They'll know the handwriting on that. We even know we're pushing that, obviously, but they'll know, they'll be able to, the eligibility sorry, becomes less of an issue. So it's all marked internally, and the tests are recorded, and the idea is that they marry up to our teacher assessments. In May 2022, the test period is the 3rd of May to the 26th of May. We choose when that is, and you will find out the week that we choose. It's good to do it in a week block. It keeps children fresh with their challenges, and you'll find that out nearer the time. Attendance during this period is crucial, as always. You know, it's a silly thing to say, really, because attendance is crucial all of the time. But during this test period, it becomes even more crucial. We want your child to be there to take the test. I keep saying the word test. Another big thing we need to establish here is that your child will not really be hearing the word test. We deal with challenges all the time. We do something called flashback challenges, early morning work challenges, and challenges are a good thing. The children understand at our school that challenges are a chance to show our effort, and we get effort marks, and we get to say that wonderful saying, I can't do it yet. So when your child gets the reading test, it will be a reading challenge. Paper 1, because there's 2 papers, is a very much combined reading prompt and answer booklet. So the child will read something and then be prompted to answer a question on what they've just read. Paper 2 is a little bit more advanced because there's a separate answer booklet. The children need to read through that, and then there are questions in another part of the test challenge, and your child needs to go back and find those answers. The text will cover a range of poetry, fiction, and non-fiction. You can see there's a scale score. So that's out of 100, that's the expectation, to be expected, going back to those standards, 25 out of 40. So we're always talking, if your child achieves over half of the paper, they will be deemed as expected. Here are some sample questions, and parents who attended our meetings found these really useful. So we have a multiple choice question. Children love doing these ones. They're a little bit more easy to spot and find. So for example, this one, when Bella was learning to fly, she tick 1. That is important because a lot of children don't read that bit properly. So they learn to look at words in bold because they're really important. Just tick 1, not 3. So when Bella was learning to fly, she was lazy, did not try hard, did not give up, found it easy. So the children very much need to find the bit where Bella is flying and read around that to see which one is the correct answer. This is a tricky one. The children do find these difficult. So if you want to practice any questions with your child at home when we start giving out some extra homework, this is a really good one because it's a lot of reading and understanding of the text, but it's also a bit logical as well. So in this example, you have to put the statement sentences in order, the events in order. The first one was William went to sea on his boat. Now, actually, what happened in this reading challenge was that he hit some rocks and he got rescued. Now, I remember a lot of children put fishermen came to rescue William as number 2, but logically, you're not going to be rescued until you hit some rocks. So it is about the reading, but it is about logic as well. Matching and labeling. So there's some quickly matching questions where you have to read what's on the left and match to the statement on the right. There are also short answer questions. So these can be one word or a short sentence. So what job did Tony Ross want to do before he became a writer, an illustrator? With these questions, we do train as such the children to look for key words. So in practice questions, we will be saying to the children, right, can you find where the word writer and illustrator is? Underline it. Now read around that and you may find out what job he did. It's all about practicing answering these questions. Find and copy. The children usually are quite good at this one if it's just a find and copy because we do a lot of scanning text. However, this one was a bit more tricky because it says find and copy one word that means the same as sparkle. So it's about vocabulary and children understanding what words mean. Now, I think the word in the text was shone. So they need to understand that shone means sparkle. So we do a lot of vocabulary work, but the more reading you do for your child, the more explanation of maybe difficult words will help your child with this. The open-ended questions, we do a lot of why. So in a lot of our partner talk, a lot of our teaching, if a child gives an opinion, we have to say why, because this helps with these questions. So at the end of the story, Bella was happy. Why? Very rarely will it go at the end of the story, Bella was happy because they have to try and use inference. So we practice that. So she might have had a smile on her face. She might have skipped happily down the street. So we need to work out how we would answer those why questions. The SPAG, the grammar, punctuation, and spelling, is actually optional, but we do it because it's integral to your child writing. The paper one is a spelling challenge. There'll be 20 missing words, and the teacher will read out sentences with those missing words in. And then paper 2 is the grammar, punctuation, and vocabulary. So it's very much an answer booklet, and I'll give you some examples on the next slide. As you can see, the scale score out of 100, once again, it's just over half your child will be deemed as expected. So here's some examples of the grammar, punctuation, and vocabulary. So a classic, why do the underlined words start with a capital letter? We've got Saturday, Sarah, Scotland, they're all nouns. So that's what children will learn, and that's what they should write. Circle the two, once again, very important in bold. Circle the two nouns in the sentence below. So looking for the naming words, so pencil and bench, and they need to circle those. With the grammar side of it, I would make sure this is advice I gave to some parents who attended the meetings, was do things daily, just like reading. Listening often is good. So just like the reading, grammar, what is a noun? What is an adjective? Just keep it going all of the time to keep that fresh in your child's brain would be fantastic. They do forget quite easily. Right, moving on to another type of question, we've got tense. Now, of course, we've got quite a few children in school that have English as an additional language. So this is sometimes a barrier, using the different tense because it's different to the language we're used to. So once again, at home, be really careful to subtly correct your child, not to make them scared of talking and correct them all the time, but thinking about past and present tense. I just went to the park. I had fun. I am looking forward to the party on Saturday. So all of those things will help your child answer these questions. So for example, Aziz gave out the paint pots. Gave out, that means past tense. Aziz spills water, that is the present tense. Spelling paper. So there is a blank, and the teacher will say something like, I need to pack my holiday suitcase. Pack. My turn, your turn. Pack, pack, pack. Think about the sounds. Now write that word down. So your child will be able to use their phonics knowledge on some of the words. Some of the words may be common exception words, which will appear on the website very shortly. And practice, practice, practice. That's the tip for spellings. So I need to pack my holiday suitcase. The sky is dark at night, and so on. There's a few questions. What if my child doesn't keep up? It's fine. We can repeat those sentences and repeat those words for your child. The only thing we can't do in the reading challenges is actually read the questions, read anything for your child, because it is a reading practice, but I'll come on to support at the end. The maths papers is once again 2 papers. Paper 1 is a straightforward arithmetic, lasting about 20 minutes. Paper 2 is the reasoning, lasting about 35. It's more of an advanced test, and it's more about using all of our skills that we learn in math. A little bit about timing. It's not like Key Stage 2 and later on in secondary school, where you got your paper, the bell goes at 30 minutes, close your booklet, you haven't finished, oh dear. It's not that at all. If your child's taking longer, we can't spend a week on it, but if your child's taking slightly longer than 20 minutes, we can give a little rest break and we can come back to it for another 10 minutes or so on. But we want your child to show their best effort. So please don't worry about that. You can see at the bottom of the last bullet point, it's 36 out of 60. Yeah, so once again, just over half will mean expected. Some examples. So for the arithmetic, we have the 3 times 3. Some children will be able to say 9 straight away and move on. Some children will need to show their written calculations. We do a lot of concrete, manipulative, visual work. go to our website, look at the maths calculation policy, because it's all on there. It's how your child learns and answers these questions. With the children that can write 9 straight away, we go back to that lovely why, prove it. So if they finish the paper, they won't just be sat there. Your teacher, your class, child's class teacher, or myself will be going, right, go back, show us you're working out all of those questions. So encourage your child to prove what they're doing. So don't just prove what they're saying, prove, if something's right or wrong. It's a really good skill to have. 12 divided by 2, once again, 6. And there's methods on our website for the calculations policy. CETA puts 2 shoes in each box, so a bit of counting in twos. Another thing I said to parents at our meeting was to practice, just like the spellings, but times tables, 2s, 5s, 10s, going up the stairs, going down the stairs, getting ready in the morning, going in the car, lining up for school. Rote's good. We don't teach by that, but it's really good for children to memorize their times tables, fluency, rapid recall. 3s, 8s, there's no multiplication table. We're not discouraging, but it's the 2, 5, and 10s are crucial. But if your child can do the other times tables, get them practicing, because it really will save brain power when they're taking these challenges. And in everyday class, a child that knows 3 4s are 12 sometimes saves a lot of processing skills, because they've got that as knowledge in their head already. Complete the table, so a spelling in maths there as well. So obviously the child needs to write the word 40, and that question may come up. Can be a struggle, but the children do learn to break things down into multiple steps. So in this example, we have a reasoning question. CETA has 50 raisins. She gives 23 to Ben. She gives 15 to Amy. How many raisins does CETA have left? And we can use inverse in that one to double check our answer as well. So how to help your child. Now, firstly, how we're going to help your child. I was going to talk about support. This is where hopefully the worry will stop. When you hear SATs tests, it does ring alarm bells in a parent. I know myself, because I'm one. Please be assured that the SATs are everyday challenges. Your child will see this as an everyday challenge that we set. Yes, it will be special. It'll be a nice glossy booklet, not a horrible photocopied one that we use when we practice. It'll be read their own little booklet, so that will feel special. We will give treats, so we will talk to you about it near the time, so we make sure your child can have a treat. There'll be rest breaks, special breakfasts, all of these things that will make your child feel really special during these SATs challenges. In my experience, even the most nervous child that maybe doesn't like doing challenges, by the end of the week, they miss doing it because it's a special week. So they will be excited by it. For you, thinking about reassuring your child, there's nothing to worry about, because there's nothing different to what they do every day. One of the biggest concerns from parents at the meetings was, is my child going to be supported? Of course they will. They will be supported. Some children like to get on. Some children can work in big groups. Some children need that person just sat next to them to give them that reassurance. That will be provided for your child. And if you have extra concerns about that, please raise that at the parents' meetings that are happening just after Easter. We talked about attendance, really important. Support your child with any homework tasks. I explained to parents at the meetings that your class teachers will start to give a few extra challenges to plug any gaps. Unfortunately, with lockdown and various disruption, there are a few gaps here and there, and we need to plug those gaps. So homework is a really good way of doing that. Reading, read. Little and often is brilliant. I find it hard with my own children to put down solid 30 minutes, 40 minutes of reading. So, 5 minutes here and there, you read to your child, you get them to answer questions of what you've read, but 5 minutes daily makes a big difference. Get your child to explain what they're reading. A few parents said their child just loves to read. They go away, they read. Well, fine, but maybe pre-read a couple of pages, get your child to read those couple of pages and have some questions ready for them. And then they can go away and read the book for fun. If your child doesn't like reading so much, get something that interests them, a comic, a program, something that they will engage with. It all makes a difference. Talk to your child about what they've learned at school. Classic, end of the day, what did you do? Nothing. What did you learn? Nothing. They did, I assure you, I promise. They're learning every day. So really ask them and get them to articulate what are they learning and why they are learning it. Make sure your child's a good sleep and a healthy breakfast every morning. That's not just for this week, that is all the time, please. Helping with reading. So I've covered these already, so I'll just read through the slide. So listening to your child can take many forms. First and foremost, focus developing the enjoyment and love of reading. Do not switch your child off for reading. That's the most important thing. Enjoy stories together. Reading stories to your child is equally as important as listening to your child read. Read a little at a time, but often. Talk about the story before, during, and afterwards. Sometimes just get the book cover and say, what do you think this story is going to be about? Why? If you've read it, is that cover a true reflection of the story? Could that cover be made different? Why? Look up definitions together. Remember going back to that vocabulary about shone and sparkle. Go through those words, use thesauruses, dictionaries, the dreaded Google on phones. You can find out anything these days. So put in a word. I do it a lot when I'm trying to learn something. Put it in Google, it'll come up. So you really gain that vocabulary for your child. And all reading is valuable, not just stories. Fiction, non-fiction, poetry, newspapers, magazines, and so on. Libraries are now all fully open. They're free. Children love going to libraries. So consider that as well. Writing is something I haven't discussed so much because there isn't a such challenge for it. Writing is every day. We try and set at least 2 independent writes every half term. So that's about every 6 weeks. So by the time we get to the end of term, so for example, between Christmas and Easter, there'll be at least 4 pieces of writing that we assess from. Writing is all teacher assessed. We use checklists. We will start to pull those checklists away now because when you assess writing towards the end of year 2, the children need to independently be able to do a checklist. So for example, they need to know they must have capital letters to full stop. And then those greater depth children need to use a range of punctuation independently. They must have things like nouns, adjectives, adverbs, but what are they going to use? Children should be able to start to articulate, this will be a really good word to use in my writing. Practice writing at home, make it fun. The spellings, make it fun. Missing word like a pub quiz, just make a challenge, get a score chart going or a reward chart going. Children love to be challenged. Encourage any opportunity for writing. Some children struggle with writing at home because it seems like a big task. So just say, right, 5 minutes, write about anything you want. Write about anything. Make it purposeful. Write a letter to a friend at school. Write a letter to the teacher at school. Write something for next door. They're really kind. They always throw the ball back every time you throw it in the garden. Say, write a thank you letter. All of these things really encourage children to write. Write together, be a good role model, encourage use of dictionary and check spellings, allow your child to use the word processor. Even though that won't be in the everyday provision of your child, it's sometimes breaks down a barrier for children wanting to write. And remember, good readers make good writers. That's where all of that reading practice comes into play. Most importantly, encourage your child all of the time. With maths, play times table games, play mental maths games, counting different amounts forwards and backwards, talk about times tables as well, rapid recall. Encourage opportunities for telling the time. Now, time and money, that's the next 2, coins, it's becoming such a rare thing. I know I very rarely use coins. Card, contactless, you don't even get a card out, it's on your phone, on your watch sometimes. So as much as you can, dust down those coins that may be in a bottle at home or in a drawer and get your child to know what a 1p, a 2p, a 5p, a 10p, 20, 50 pound, £2, £5 note. All of these things are crucial to your child actually understanding the value, because they might be able to easily say, use numbers up to 100, which would be pennies and a pound. But if they don't know what a penny is, they don't know what a pound is, they're going to struggle. So when you go to the shops, if you take your child to the shop every week for some sweets, get them money, get them to give them money, get the change, count it. The times are a big one you can do every day. Hopefully you've got different types of clocks at home. If you haven't, consider that, because it's very easy to read the time off a phone. But if you need to use a clock and look at 1/4 past, 1/2 past, 1/4 it's very important to have those clocks around the house. Challenge your child. If your child says, "Oh, when do I need to go to bed?" Well, that's going to be 30 minutes. What will be the time when you need to go to bed? You tell me. Okay, so it's just using the everyday to really plug some of those gaps. Look at numbers on street signs, car registrations, anywhere. Look for 2Ds and 3D shapes. Getting dinner ready, you get a can out. had this discussion with a parent at a meeting. Get a can out. It's not a can, this is a cylinder. It's a 3D shape. Let's look at the sides. Have this conversation all of the time. Your children are so enthusiastic about spotting shapes. So challenge your child at home. Weigh, measure all of those budding bakers out there, you know, making a cake, get your child to measure it, look at the quantities. If they put too much in, how much too much was it? Yeah, look at differences as well. Play games, that's a big one. You know, things like dominoes are great because on dominoes, you've got arrays of numbers, you've got matching numbers, you've got values, doubles, what would that double make? There's so many opportunities, but there's so many board games out there that you really, you know, like Monopoly, all the dreaded Monopoly, lots of arguments, but you use money. So just think about how you can start playing these games with your children to help their maths. In the meeting, we had a parent feedback form. There's no way of doing this electronically, but I'm just showing that because this is what I asked the parents. So was it helpful? Hopefully this video has been helpful. What else would you like to know, and general feedback? So I'm on the playground a lot, most days. The school office, if you email the school office and you address it to me, it will come through to me straight away. So if there's anything else that you want, please see me or contact school, and I'll be here for your assistance as always. So that is the end of my presentation today. There is a parents' evening just after Easter. Your child is going to start looking at SATs challenges over the next couple of weeks, and then you will find out more about what's going to go on the website. A quick note on the website is that there's now a SATs hub page for parents. I'm not going to show it now because I might muck up my screen. So basically what it is, you go onto the website, you go into parents, and you'll see parental meetings. If you go in there, there is a SATs hub. This is in there, but there's nothing else at the moment. But there is a page for reading, writing, and reading, maths, and SPAG. So when your teachers are working with your child, they'll see where some of the gaps are, and we'll start dropping in resources. I'm going to drop in the Year 2 common exception words in there as soon as I finish recording this. So that will be in the SPAG section. But take a look. Because it will be really useful going forward. As soon as something's put in there, and I'll test it out today, a marvellous meal will be sent out to all of the parents, so you know that something's gone into our SATs hub, which I hope I've told you right about, but on the marvellous meal I send, you'll get clear instructions about that. Okay, well, thank you very much. I hope that's been really useful. And like I said, any more questions, just come and see me. Thank you very much. Thank you.